basically what we see here is that there are few transformational things that are happening in AI. In the medical imaging itself, the first of all, the hardware, which is actually kind of MR machines, CT machines, and all, their cost is coming down. And today, they are also becoming operationally efficient. They can do it scanning in less number of time, more number of patients. So there's a lot of innovation that's happening, and China is also leading in that innovation. And then second is that the Silicon Valley companies are bringing in a lot of advantages in terms of democratizing or consumerizing basically some of these applications using AI. And Indian companies like us are bringing advantages in developing AI applications so that this can actually be, put into practice, and in many ways actually for the people. So our vision is to actually be part of this transformation where we would be the leader in enabling the access to criticality care and the access to specialty care for the patients using medical imaging. It should be as simple as today you actually do a lot of blood tests, and that those blood tests actually give a lot more information about health metrics. And same way, much higher order information would be available using scanning, for using scanning using MR. Even for example, an MR scanning can do about 15 types of cancer early detections with a single whole body scanning. But then for that to happen, it has to actually make it's very easy for the patients, right? It should not be you are subjected to a 30 minutes to 1 hour scanning, and then post that it takes time to get your reporting, all those things. So we actually, our vision is to actually this should change. A single scanning which is within 5 minutes and can bring about any early symptoms of your body health metrics or cancer, and should actually be, we should be able to have a complete information to address the needs in a preventive way rather than in a more the reactive post illness. So this is what is our vision. Post my research in IISc, I felt that it's not about publishing more papers, but we should be leader in providing tech and building tech from India for the world. And from the very beginning, I see that there's a large gap in what we are capable to do and what today we are actually accomplished in tech. Be it building core tech in terms of building phones or the aircrafts or anything that you can name, which actually defines that you are on the frontier of technology. So when I looked at it, core tech involves the deep understanding of actually the science and also the implementation and also the perseverance to build such a technology. So I actually worked on more of those things right from the beginning, and this has been actually a passion for me for since then. This is so important because AI is a new technology. It actually, there is a lot of reliance on that for intelligence. It has to be quite well validated before actually using things. Fortunately, in medical, there is already a very good set process in terms of how to adopt good technology. So in our case, we actually started in 2019 development of our technology, and we started with generative AI. Today it's a very big buzzword, but back those days it's very, very nascent stage. And we developed certain algorithms and the models and everything. But we actually completed the development of the models in early 2021. But after that, it took us 2 years, with the multiple validations and in multiple hospitals. And then finally, it got. We did a clinical trial. There's a clinical trial process for establishing the efficacy of the solution in a very effective manner. With we have to recruit subjects and go through that process of actually normalizing for the population and then actually doing the right analysis with the experts radiologists doing the study. So we have gone through all that process, and then post that we also have a regulatory framework, which again depends on how good your quality management system is, how good the complete process that you carried out to do the clinical trials and everything, and they would come and audit you, and post that you will get a regulatory approval. So which means that we go through several steps of validation and actually certification before employing that kind of technology in practice. So which is good. I mean, that's what it should be. It has to be actually a more rigorous process, so that actually the right technologies can be adopted in practice. If you see India, it's a vast country, and we have a very the population is geographically spread out throughout the lucas and corners of India. And if you see the evolution of technology, basically mobile, the internet, these actually brought the communication, connectivity, and knowledge in all the remote parts of India. And this actually immensely benefit people. And we ourselves have seen how it has transformed into a truly a digital India, actually unifying the population. The same thing is with AI, right? So AI, um, where we see that it's actually quite well democratizing the expertise, what the knowledge that people require at their tips. And you can't actually have build a very specialty expertise, like you can't have a neurosurgeons or neurologists, in every city and town in India, because there's so many villages, there's so many tier 2, tier 3 towns in India. But what is possible is actually build quite a bit of expertise through AI, which actually can reach out to them, in a timely manner. And then if required much better expertise which requires some intervention, then they can actually address those things with the available infrastructure. So this is actually where AI is going to play a role. And if you see, countries like India, the biggest need will be in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, where it actually can help in a very, very big way. And in big towns metro cities and all, this technology can bring some advanced intelligence, to the fore, right? So there are so many things that happens in a doctor gives treatment, even for example, stroke. If they want to take a decision whether to the patient has to undergo mechanical thrombectomy or not, there is so much analysis that goes behind that, and that kind of expertise, and it's not easy to build. And and here AI gives such information that makes it much easier for the experts to take a decision. So in a nutshell, this is going to bring much higher order expertise, be it in urban or rural area in India. So, I actually can relate to a few projects here today about, when we do our scans, and that gets through our platform, viewed by radiologists, reported, and also used by AI. It's about 70 to 80% are from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and we do a lot of public-private partnership projects, be it in the rural Bihar or Odisha, okay, and also different parts of India as well. There is one project where we also completely involved end to end. Was in one of the smaller towns, which is less than 10,000, 15,000 population area, but there was a charity hospital, and they were actually addressing disabled people, right, and the treatment and everything. And they wanted a platform where they can report from remotely, because doctors may not be always available. They also want to be alerted on certain cases when there is some patient that comes there with a trauma or any of things. So our technology, say, when we deployed, post that today, it's becoming very transformational for them, because now they are able to actually manage these things much better way. It's really helped people over there. And there are many stories like that. I mean, of course, in fact, we have been working on stories, many places. For example, in South Asian Hospital, we went there and we looked at it. It's such a huge number of people requiring specialty expertise, and they wanted to reduce the scanning time. And we are working on actually reducing the scanning time there. We also started working with people in the remote parts of Assam, for hospitals where the cancer patients come and they want to do that. They want to do the detection and breast cancer kind of thing, and also able to immediately do the treatment then when there is because the patients, once they come, they don't come again. It's very difficult to get them again, so they want to do everything in a single day. So there are many stories like this where we see that our technology is really is helping the people. First of all, for urban settings where there are big specialty hospitals are there, and they actually are actually looking to see how they can address a more population, the population that, like, people who, when they come and any of these tertiary cares, they get referred in advanced stages. Okay, so they get first referred to the district hospitals, and then from their district hospitals they come to many hospitals in the metros. If you see, all of these specialty hospitals today, they are operating 24/7, and they're still not able to address the patients. It was also given, recently it has come in the newspaper, that a patient was given, basically MR scanning schedule 3 years afterwards. So he's getting an appointment of 3 years actually afterwards, which is really, really difficult for people who actually want to actually get the scanning done immediately, right? So the specialty hospitals in urban area, first we need to actually equip with these more AI solutions, which will help in actually cutting down the time. Because if you are actually doing about 20 scans per day with a machine, we should be able to do, like, 40, 50 scans per day. This itself will actually cut down the waiting time for the people by at least by half. And then second is, like, the radiologists also, any of the specialists are also actually required to provide the basically any kind of reports or the prescriptions much earlier. So that again, AI can actually bring in. So we are actually putting those in the specialty hospitals in urban settings, like, be it all the leading hospitals which do a lot of research. They have a research wing, and they have a lot of the medical students with advanced degrees. So they actually start actually using these kind of technologies very early. Now coming to the basically the settings in the rural areas and other places, the first important need is to connect to these specialists or the specialist organizations who actually employ them, or either on a full-time basis or the full-time basis, part-time basis. So what happens is that, like, let's say they have some machine, CT or MR machine, they go and do the scanning there, but those scans has to be first first we send to the doctors, right? So, and then for example, in this case, radiologist has to review the reporting, and it could be anything, like, it could be different types of cancer or different types of basic neurological disorders. So all that actually now today is, we have built a platform where we're cutting down the time of actually able to share from very low bandwidth things and actually give the reports. Now, in the reporting techniques, again, there are today, initially what was used to be more of an X-ray, now it is we are actually moving more towards a CT and MR based more advanced technologies. And there, the report actually takes a lot of time, because just to see an MR, there will be about 10 to 15 sequences for radiologists, and each one of them they have to go through in detail and prepare a report. So we cut down that reporting time, because while they are looking at the scans, they just need to tell what the problem is. Okay, suppose they are looking at the patient with a glioblastoma and with certain symptoms, they just need to tell that this is what they are actually looking at it, and the report is automatically get synthesized based on that. So that kind of reporting techniques which will cut down the time will help to get the radiologists to more number of reports for the population from the rural areas, because more of those people actually today depend on the teleradiology to get the reports. So this way, I mean, we are actually with a complete workflow system for both specialty hospitals, for the small centers which are like diagnostic centers which are actually there in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So we build out technologies so that it is applicable to is applicable much more universally. Any technology, it takes a lot of efforts to build, okay, right from the scratch, right? So first of all, you need to actually there has to be some early adopters, because no technology can perfect it without actually somebody adopting, using it, giving a feedback that this has to be improved. So even from the customer point of view, from the expert's point of view, we need the patience and perseverance in actually putting it together, and it also needs high-end expertise. Okay, first of all, the kind of people that we have to employ are actually the postgraduates, PhDs, who are very good in science and programming, and so we actually have to bring that expertise. And those experts again have to work with the people who need this kind of technologies very closely. So in this case, especially medical imaging or in general healthcare technologies, both technologists, programmers has to work with the clinical specialists. So the clinical specialist comes with the expertise of the understanding of clinical knowledge and the need. The programmers will come with like how to implement that in a better way so that it can solve the problem. So it's the same. I mean, being similar to any other technology, where we have to go through multiple iterations in time of perfecting it, and working with the right partners in actually deploying it as well. So that's a very important process, and I think this is very important for actually our countries also, scientific temperament, where we actually have to build that totally, where, and that such an ecosystem is also very much needed, where we find more and more early adopters of advanced technology, and they give us strong feedback that this is something that needs to improve, and this is what we are actually getting it, and then we actually implement that to get that technology to implement, get it deployed. So that's what is actually very important in such technologies. What I was talking is actually leading to that. Now, let's say in this case, what we developed is a quick scan where we find that magnetic coils and the magnets don't change, but what changes is the software that goes inside that. But pretty much like, if you take any machines, they have like 1.5 Tesla machine and 3 Tesla machine, which are especially 1.5 Tesla is much more industry standard today, and widely available. So what changes is the software. So you can use the same hardware, but you can keep updating the software for long to get advanced capabilities as well. So we developed that kind of software which actually can upgrade the machines very easily with the software. Today, if you want to actually solve a problem, next generation problem, I would look at like how to develop a 1 minute MR, right? So basically today, even still after all these optimizations, it takes 10 to 15 minutes, but time can go down to about 1 minute. So how do we do that? First, that's the problem we want to solve, and then next problem that we want to solve is that how we can build a special purpose MR machines, like one for brain and one for and they're not costly. It should be about today MR machines cost about $1 million, right? $1 million to $2 million, which is 8 to 16 crores. But what if that cost comes to like about 2 to 3 crores? Then it can be actually much more widely used. Because cost is the main criteria for capital investment of some of these technologies. So I think working on those fronts is also very useful, because that problem also will be thing. So in as far as us are concerned, we built a technology. Now we are moving towards to see how we actually build cut downs for the time with a quick scan and help people with this. And also what analysis, higher order analysis you want to do with that, right? So for example, once you do the scanning, there is also some analysis that goes into it. We do like, for example, visceral fat analysis. This visceral fat analysis is indicative of the health metrics. This is our Big Diag product. And if a patient can very well correlate with the patient progression in cancer or stroke or anything. We actually built this technology where they could correlate if the patient is going to get basically recovered fast or they are going to recover late, because there's a good correlation between these two things. Similarly, there is also information that is required in the stroke when a patient suffers a stroke, whether the patient has to undergo mechanical thrombectomy or not. This is an important information, and because they need to know how much is tissue inside your brain that they can recover. So we actually developed some kind of perfusion technologies which actually give this information to the doctors. So that kind of higher order information which actually specialists require is something that we have developed for that, and we continue to develop. So we are developing similarly for completely oncology suite. So basically for breast, lung, brain, prostate, and everything. And similarly for cardiology, because cardiology is a very big problem here. So we are providing technologies which actually help us to do the calcification and blockages detections, and then for the neurology as well. So like that, we are basically specialized radiology is what we are building to. Healthcare is hard, right? I would say it's a lot of hard work, but it is not easily rewarding that, especially in technology. Okay, there are quite a incumbent players, and it's not easy to develop some of these things, technologies. What even with all the expertise that I have in terms of building companies, building technologies. But I think today I feel that every passing year it's becoming more easier in our, to work people on the advanced technologies in India. I think this generation should work on some of the core technology problems. So if I were to do today, I would have picked up much more harder problems. So in 5 years ago, you picked up a software problem, but today I would have picked up a problem to actually build something with hardware and software together. So because that ecosystem is also going to evolve here, thinking that how these two things systems work, how well we can build systems, and there each of these systems like building a next generation MRI, very difficult problems, or actually building some kind of devices which are actually useful in operations or something like that, right? So each one of them is actually requires a good amount of ecosystem support, manufacturing support, and all those things. So I would say I would pick up those problems because I feel that going forward, 5 years from now, that will probably become mainstream, and we will develop a lot more devices, medical devices, and medical software from here.